So we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction.
6:47 a.m. Yakima County, Washington. Federal agents were already moving through residential streets that looked no different from any other American suburb. White picket fences, trimmed lawns, children's bikes on driveways. But behind those doors, something deadly had been growing. What authorities uncovered that morning would expose how deeply Mexican cartels had embedded themselves into the heartland. Not at the border, not in major cities. Right here, in quiet neighborhoods where families believed they were safe. The numbers were staggering. 3.4 million potential fentanyl doses, enough to kill half the population of Washington state twice over. If you want to see how deep this goes, hit like now. The case began with something ordinary, a traffic stop on Interstate 82. Officer Rodriguez pulled over a Honda Civic for a broken taillight. Standard procedure, routine questions. Then he saw the driver's hands shaking. A quick search revealed vacuum-sealed packages hidden in the door panels. Fentanyl powder, $47,000 in cash. Burner phones with encrypted messages. This wasn't a user. This was a courier. DA agents recognized the pattern immediately. The packaging method, the communication style, the cash denomination breakdown, all signature moves of the Sinaloa cartel's distribution cells. What followed was a 10-month federal investigation that would expose two separate trafficking networks operating simultaneously across Washington state. Comment exposed if you're ready to see what happened next. The first network ran like a family business. 3 brothers, 2 cousins, a sister-in-law who handled the books. They operated from a 2-story house in Pasco that neighbors described as quiet and unremarkable. Inside, agents found a different reality. Fentanyl pressed into counterfeit pills stacked in Tupperware containers. Digital scales covered in residue. Ledgers documenting deliveries to Seattle, Spokane, Portland. Monthly revenue exceeding $800,000. The family had been operating for 14 months without a single neighbor reporting anything suspicious, because they looked normal. Soccer practices, grocery store trips, PDA meetings. This wasn't chaos. This was precision. Federal surveillance revealed the operation's structure. Supply arrived from Phoenix every 2 weeks. Distribution occurred through 7 subdealers across 3 states. Payment collection happened at gas stations and parking lots using coded text messages. Package ready for pickup. Uncle arriving Thursday. Birthday present confirmed. All cartel communication protocols refined over decades in Sinaloa and adapted for American suburbs. If this shocks you, type yes below. The second network elevated federal concerns to a different level entirely. Rural property. 47 acres outside Yakima. Gated entrance. No neighbors within a mile. The owner claimed it was a livestock operation. Chickens. Goats. Occasional farming. But undercover agents noticed patterns that didn't fit. Late-night deliveries with headlights off. Vehicles arriving from multiple states with no livestock leaving. Armed men patrolling the perimeter at irregular intervals. When federal teams executed the raid, they found far more than drugs. 127 firearms including AR-15 variants and modified AK-47s. An improvised explosive device stored in a climate-controlled shed. $1.3 million in cash vacuum-sealed inside PVC pipes buried 3 feet underground. And fentanyl. Kilograms of pure fentanyl capable of producing 2.1 million additional doses. But the most disturbing discovery was what the site revealed about operational confidence. This wasn't a stash house. This was infrastructure. The property included a reinforced safe room with surveillance monitoring 6 angles. A tunnel system connecting 3 buildings. Encrypted satellite communication equipment bypassing standard phone networks. Investigators concluded the site functioned as a regional hub. Drugs arrived from Mexico through Arizona. Cash consolidated here before moving south. Weapons stored for enforcement and protection. Share this so more people understand what's happening in rural America. The Sinaloa cartel's fingerprints were everywhere. Packaging materials traced to Culiacan suppliers. Communication devices using frequencies monitored in previous cartel cases. Financial ledgers showing payments to known smuggling corridors. But this was American soil. Not Tijuana. Not Juarez. Washington state. Federal officials described the busts as significant not just for volume seized but for what they revealed about cartel expansion strategy. These networks didn't rely on street violence or territorial wars. They used suburban cover and rural isolation. They hired American citizens as couriers and distributors. They paid in cash that looked like legitimate income. They avoided behaviors that trigger law enforcement attention. This was adaptation. Evolution. The simultaneous takedown required coordination across DA, IC, FBI, and regional task forces. Raids executed within 47 minutes across 11 locations. Arrests made without shots fired. Evidence secured before destruction was possible. 17 individuals charged with federal trafficking offenses. Assets totaling $2.1 million seized. Vehicles, properties, and bank accounts frozen. But authorities acknowledged this was disruption, not elimination. Comment justice if you believe this matters. The human impact is what makes these numbers real. 3.4 million doses removed means 3.4 million moments where someone doesn't receive that lethal pill. Emergency rooms that don't see those overdose cases. Families that don't lose sons, daughters, parents. Fentanyl kills more Americans annually than car accidents in the 18 to 45 age group. It's now the leading cause of death for young adults. Every seizure of this scale alters that trajectory, even temporarily. Communities experienced immediate effects. Overdose admissions in Yakima County dropped 23% in the 2 months following the raids. First responders reported fewer naloxone deployments. Local hospitals saw reduced strain on emergency capacity. These outcomes don't make headlines. But they represent lives saved that will never be counted because the threat was stopped before it reached them. The broader implications extend beyond Washington. Federal officials confirm similar cartel-linked operations have been identified in Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and North Dakota. Rural and suburban areas previously considered low risk are now recognized as strategic distribution points. This represents a fundamental shift in how cartels operate inside America. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. President Trump's executive order declaring fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction reflected this evolving threat assessment. The classification shifts federal response capability, resource allocation, and international negotiation leverage. Because this isn't just a drug problem. It's a security problem. When foreign criminal organizations establish infrastructure on American soil with this level of sophistication, traditional law enforcement becomes insufficient. The response requires sustained federal coordination, border security integration, and international pressure on source countries. The Washington cases demonstrated what coordinated enforcement can achieve. But they also revealed how much remains hidden. For every network dismantled, analysts estimate 3 continue operating undetected. The challenge facing America is whether political will and resources will match the scale of the threat. These operations cost millions in investigative hours, surveillance technology, and multi-agency cooperation. Sustaining that pressure requires long-term commitment beyond individual cases or political cycles. Share this video before it gets buried. What happened in Washington wasn't isolated. It was a glimpse into a system that spans continents and operates with corporate efficiency. From precursor chemicals manufactured in China to clandestine labs in Sinaloa to distribution cells in American suburbs, the fentanyl supply chain functions as a transnational enterprise worth billions annually. Disrupting it demands more than arrests. It requires attacking financial networks, choking supply routes, and dismantling the institutional corruption that allows cartels to operate with impunity in source countries. The seizure of 3.4 million doses saved lives. But the broader war continues in ways most Americans never see. Comment your thoughts below. Hit like if you believe justice is worth fighting for. Subscribe to stay informed on the security challenges shaping America's future. Because this story isn't over. It's only beginning.